women's makeup and entertainment and films are recession-proof. Those are two things that you keep doing, I guess, just to feel nice. And I think it would affect, there is a knee-jerk reaction to every business with this huge global recession. See, it's not something that happened locally. It's a huge effect. So I guess there was a knee-jerk reaction initially, but it'll settle down. But I guess another 5-6 months, a few hits, and the whole atmosphere changes. Film people are like this, we overreact to everything. So as soon as we have a couple of good hits, business is booming for us, and we advertise it more than anybody else, and we are happy. We get fooled by our own advertising and get back to what is what we know best, which is just make films and tell stories.
So the big movies have not really been affected.
They
financing, is it harder to raise that money?
We don't have a lot of institutional financing in films as yet. Very few banks do it, or private funding. And we have a few corporates which have come in. Of course, to get a strong foothold into the country and start off, they are obviously spending a lot of money. So I don't think Indian films has ever been. It was normally personally financed.
Yeah.
It's never.
But are
been
there enough big businessmen still around to finance those movies?
I get signed, so I guess there must be enough big businessmen to make big films. Yes, I mean you have top 10 people who don't get affected by one. See, it's like having a flop film. Just because a film doesn't work does not mean we won't make the next one. I think there's a correction. I think that's very good. There was a complete overreaction, like I said, to great business, and everybody went over the top. The prices were high, the business was high, the expectations were higher, the profit margins were thought of as going to be really huge. But I think that correction has settled in. So we are back to reality, which itself is also very nice. I think real business of films is also very good. And I think we just cut back and come down to reality, but it hasn't affected in the negative sense. The bottom line hasn't gone down. It's still a profit-making business if you make good films.
So it's a bit more realistic about the costing and the whole production?
I guess so. And that's important because, filmmaking as a business does not rest in anything. There's a creative part of filmmaking, which is about storytelling and the kind of cinema you think people would like to see at a certain point of time. But beyond that, I think film business basically rests not on mass numbers like the corporates think. I'm complete anti that theory that let's make a lot of number of films and hope at the end of the year you make some money totally. I believe that you have to make a few films and make them well. But the only logic of making money in films, as far as India is concerned, or Indian film industry is concerned, is you need to keep the costs as low as possible without making anyone uncomfortable. So I guess that this recession or the stories of recession has helped us rectify and correct that, which is really good.
Lots of companies are beginning to ask their staff to work for smaller fees or work for less money. Are you finding that in the acting world you're being asked to take a smaller signing on fee and bigger chunk of the profit? Has the sort of margins shifted that way at all?
They dare not ask me.
You're not going to work for free then?
I don't. Actually, it's very strange. My business is very different, so I would not be able to comment on others. But I don't take a signing fee. I don't have a price for a film. I do very few films. I do 2.5 films. One of them normally ends up being my own production. I am the lowest price star in the country. Very few people believe that. But that's true. My income tax people will tell you that. But having said that, I normally sign up a film because I like the story and the people I'm working with. If the film does well, I tell them, please pay me a check. I don't even sign a contract with anyone. So, I've been in recession mode since last 20 years, so it doesn't affect me.
You were at the Oscars earlier this year. Slumdog Millionaire won lots and lots of awards. Are we going to see more tie-ups, do you think, between Hollywood and the Indian film industry because of that?
India is the only country where Western films don't do well, and it's shocking. We don't have, when I say Western, let me say English films, English language films, they don't do well in India, and I think that has been a degree of concern for the Western filmmakers. As far as Indian films are concerned, similarly, we don't do the numbers that Western films do all over the world. So I guess the foreign studios see India, just like they must have seen China a few years back, as a growing market, and yes, it's an English-speaking nation. So people are coming in. I think the foothold is being created by the Western studios, so they get a market, and what is good for the Indian films is we get a distribution setup which is already existing. See, Slumdog helps us. The new film that I'm doing is now bought by Fox, which is interesting because they felt, okay, they know it's not an Indian film, Slumdog, but they have ventured into India to produce films. They have been there. Star Television with Mr. Murdoch and all has been there. Similarly, Sony's been there. They've made a film last year. Warner Brothers made a film this year. So I think they are looking for the market in India, and we are looking at hoping to have a set-up distribution system which will help our films increase our market in the West.
Let's talk about cricket. You spent a lot of money on your team. They haven't done awfully well. Was that money well invested?
Just as a business, it's not a losing proposition. But to me, very, very clearly, I haven't got into cricket for the business. I love sports. I love cricket. I feel very, very sad when my team has lost. And the way they lost, it's really depressing. But I guess the beauty of failure is that, one, you never know when it's going to come and hit you full force on the face. And second, it's always a new kind of failure. You couldn't have failed once and learn from it. And people keep saying you learn from failures. You don't know. I'm very sad that the team lost. We are a great team. I think we need to put it all together and try and do something. But there is no guarantee to winning again, because it's a sport. It will go wrong. It'll teach you how to be lose but not be a loser, etc. And hopefully we'll come back next year and do better. A lot of people have a lot of thoughts about why do I run this sport thing, and I don't understand business. I'm in the wrong show. But a lot of people think I understand business, but I don't. I did it because my son, my daughter, they liked. And I think I need to create a platform for sports in my country. I hear rumors. People say I'll sell it and stuff. No, I find it a little embarrassing when people say that.
You don't need to sell it.
I don't want to sell it. The need is second part, but I don't want to sell it. I don't think I'll ever sell it.
Let's talk about your next film. My Name is Khan. You've produced it, you act in it. How important is that film going to be when it comes out later this year for you? I
think it'll be a nice film. I have a feeling that it's going to be a very pertinent, important and interesting film from India for the rest of the world to see. Also because the film is completely set in America, a lot of the interaction is in English, so I think it'll be easier for the Western audience to also understand parts of it. And I think it's an international subject, the West and Islam, so and I think I look nice with short hair, so it'll do well.